It's Brian Burns, the host of the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast. What I wanted to talk about now is sales managers quit typecasting reps, quit typecasting us. And in the real world, and in the world of entertainment, a great example. Unfortunately, if they become successful in a movie or a TV show, typically a TV cast it, we think of them only as the person that they play. And a great example of this is Tony Soprano from that great show on HBO, The Sopranos, one of my favorite shows. The problem was James Gandolfini, who was the actor, did such a good job at being Tony that he could not be anything else. And he's been in several movies since then, and he's played them really well. I like him in that role, and I could kind of make the leap. And that's the problem that we get in James. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was in so many great roles, and he played very different characters, and he played them equally well. He was a very talented actor, too talented. He became so believable as Tony that we couldn't think of him as anything else. Now, this kind of bridges into the next example. Think of Elaine. I can't even remember her real name because all I think of is her as Elaine from Seinfeld. And Julie Louis Dreyfus, I guess, is her real name. And that's my fault, not hers. Now, look at all the characters of Seinfeld. Have any of them really had any success or much success since the closing of Seinfeld? Now, it's been more. And, some people screwed up their careers. Others have tried. Even Jerry, I've seen do stand up, and he's tried to do a bunch of stuff, but it really hasn't clicked because we still see him in this role as Jerry Seinfeld. And he played himself in the show. And we still can't really believe him doing other things, his cars and coffee, getting comedians or whatever it is. We have a real hard time imagining these people in any other role. And actually, Julia Louis-Dreyfus has got a great show on HBO, VIP. But who really succeeded out of that show was the co-creator, Larry David. He wasn't in the show. He played a couple of cameos, but he was the co-creator with Jerry and the lead writer on it. And his series on HBO is fantastic, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And he's done a couple of movies, and he's been on Saturday Night Live. And he's really become the star that rose out of it because we didn't typecast him in that TV series. Now, are they all talented? They're all brilliant. And together they were amazing. But we as the audience could not see them as any other character. And that's our fault. It's not their fault. They're the same incredibly talented, funny people that they've always were, but we couldn't see them as anything else. Now, what this is kind of this iceberg problem, and we have this in sales. And this typecasting that we do in sales, that sales managers do to us, that we do to each other. And I'll get into examples of the typecasting and the problems that we have with it, because it's really naive and limiting and doesn't really see the full potential. It's the iceberg problem, where what we see above the water is all we think there is, but underneath the water is the 90% of what really is and what we're really capable as salespeople. And we get typecast because when we first get into sales, we typically fall into a persona that fits our personality really well. And this has been popularized by the Challenger Sale book. And I think this is naive, trivial, limiting, and a shortcut. And in some cases, it's okay to kind of describe people as one of these 5 things, and there could be n number of them. Hard worker. That's typically how we start off in sales. We start off working really hard because we don't know what to do. So instead of trying to figure out what to do, we just try and work really hard. And plus, all the sales idiots, leaders out there say work hard because they don't know what to tell you. Yes, hard work has a super high correlation with success, but it has a pretty good correlation with failure too. So hard work alone, we very quickly realize isn't enough, that we really have to figure out how the sale works. You get the lone wolf, this person. in the company or on the team. They're the person who doesn't show up for meetings, doesn't fill in the CRM, but they always close big deals at the end of the quarter. Usually they get frustrated with the management, and the company really doesn't help them, so they figure it out on their own. But we really don't know what they do because they're lone wolves, and they don't really have an open kimono into what they do. But it doesn't mean that they're not also hard workers. And then they come up with this mysterious challenger, this superstar, the superman and woman of the sales organization that's a great debater. Don't your customers love debating? Yeah, it's also known as an argument if they don't like debating. And then you get the relationship builder. You know this guy, the girl goes out to lunch, brings coffee, super sweet, remembers everybody's birthday. And these are all nice characteristics of the person. They're the Tony Sopranos, but what we're not seeing is the potential that any of these people could become. That this may be kind of your impression of them, your first understanding of them, your stereotyping of them, your marginalizing of them, but it doesn't tell you about the person and the real skill level. Are they a fantastic A player? Do they exceed their quota? Can any of these exceed their quota? I've seen all of these types. And if you just left them as if you had to pigeonhole them into one of these, I've seen them all succeed and I've seen them all fail. What is a better approach, an approach that we've been using since grade school, is grading people. Dissecting your sale into skill sets. How are you at prospecting? How are you at getting meetings? How are you at demonstrating the product? How are you at getting consensus? How are you at negotiating? How are you at dealing with high-level financial people? How are you at competing against the competition and blocking them out? How are you getting people to move within a certain time frame? Continue momentum and direction and control of your deals. How are you at all those skills? Not one of them, but all of them. Putting them together in the unique way that fits your sale, your personality. And what if it was okay to be different? What if it was okay to be that you could go from role to role and be an incredibly talented salesperson and not be locked into what your manager or other people characterize and stereotype you as, pigeonhole and limit you as a type? What if you were just a great salesperson and you focused on your skills, and when you were a B plus, you desired to be an A, and when you were a C, you moved up quickly to B and to A, and you recognized your weaknesses, and your manager's job is not to pigeonhole you as a B player, but to pull you up, show you the difference, have you understand the difference between A and B. Wouldn't that be great? Instead of doing this to people, this I find is an insult and going the wrong direction. I think this is a major step backwards. It's limiting us, and it's not enabling us. This doesn't tell us. All it says is, oh, you got to become the challenger. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean I don't oh, you got to have the right relationship? That's what the authors say. Oh, you got to work hard in the right way. Well, basically what this is saying is everything that's good is this challenger, and everything that's bad is less good is something else. Well, there's many ways to skin the cat. There's many ways to act the role. Make it your own, and quit being pigeonholed and quit pigeonholing and stereotyping others. Just stop it. It doesn't help. Focus on being great. Focus on getting from a B plus to an A plus. That's what it's all about. If you'd like to hear more about this, check out the podcast, The Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. It's right on your smartphone. You can listen to it all the time. Thanks for watching. If you like this, please share this video and like it.